Hi, welcome back to the Political Beat here at lfpress.com. I'm Pat. This is Chip. We cover City Hall here in London, Ontario, Canada for the London Free Press and lfpress.com. Not a ton of stuff, Chip, going on this week, but a few interesting things. And I think the weather has us all in a really good mood, at least in the newsroom.
Happy. You got my sunshine shirt on?
What does that mean, sunshine shirt?
Well, it looks like sunny. It's bright.
Oh, I can see that, yeah. You know, no, everybody seems like they're in a good mood today. So let's talk about the Integrity Commissioner, which Council voted overwhelmingly in favor of having staff set up the framework for that position. Now, that would not be a person who's hired. It would be a person who is kept on commission and then paid hourly, I guess in effect, to police or enforce Council's code of conduct. I think it's a good idea, but have we really seen, like, are things really so toxic at this particular council's meetings? Although there is a split and a divide, I don't know that they're all that toxic.
Right now, things are sort of
calm, right? Would you agree?
Yes, this is the calm either after the storm or before the next one. So perhaps it's handy to have an integrity commissioner on standby, or I mean, it's going to be a while until they can get it all teed up and have somebody appointed to the position. But I think it's probably a good idea to have one and to get moving on it now.
Yeah, certainly not a bad move. And
you don't want to get moving on this in the middle of a really toxic, acrimonious debate, because then people will get their backs up and straight thinking will not prevail.
Yeah, and as I said in the story I wrote, that even the discussion around it was really, on Tuesday night, was really cordial and congenial, and the mayor seemed to be trying to set that tone, which is, he hasn't always done, so I thought that was interesting. We'll get back to that, but the interesting component of this was, it seemed to me very possible that some members of council who had previously in September voted against an integrity commissioner were now supporting it. And is it possible that what they were doing, what they might be doing, is taking a step that they would hire an integrity commissioner, and then they could take, so to police the code of conduct, and then they could take Andre Marin, that pesky Ontario ombudsman who solely investigates secret meeting complaints, and say, you know, we don't like Andre Marin's style. We're going to give the integrity commissioner the secret meetings file. See you later, Andre. And we get rid of that problem. And don't worry, we still have a watchdog, although one less rabid and maybe a little easier to control than Marin.
But wasn't step one they overcame was to decide that they're going to retain Marin for the open meetings?
And so Matt Brown put what do you call it, an amendment on the motion that said that the open meeting stuff, secret meeting complaints, would still go to Marin, would not go to the integrity commissioner, and council supported that. So that puts that concern to rest. It doesn't mean necessarily that they mightn't still turf Marin in the future, but they won't replace him with the integrity commissioner as a secret meeting investigator. And I think Londoners should be very happy about that.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's another outside set of eyes that they could call upon for that specific sort of complaint, and I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, and it's two watchdogs now instead of one. I thought Paul Van Meerbergen made some really, I would almost use the word eloquent points, criticizing the creation of the integrity commissioner. That it was, it could be used as a tool by politicians trying to exact a little bit of revenge from each other, a pound of flesh from their rivals maybe, and then every time there's an investigation, I think his quote was, presto bammo, you have a gift-wrapped headline for the Free Press. And I thought, they might have a point there. But I don't know if...
What's the problem with a little bit of controversy, a little bit of scrutiny? This is politics. What do you want? I mean, come on. I hear what he's saying, but I reject it. And
as a member of the London Free Press and the media, couple gift-wrap headlines wouldn't be so bad.
They've been serving them up pretty much, and they can just keep doing it.
Yeah, that's right. So they've got that going, happening, and I guess I can't think of when the timeline is, but I think that that's a good thing. There'll be a second set of eyes, a second sort of watchdog, I guess. So Marin does the secret meetings, integrity commissioner polices council's behavior, I guess, such as it is. Now,
and what a change from a year, 8 months ago.
Yeah, 7 months ago when they voted against even taking another step.
And it was the vote back then was
9-6
against having an integrity commissioner.
And now it's 14-1.
14-1, and the one was Van Meerbergen.
Yeah. And I think it's a lot of people did the old flip-flop on that one. I can't really, because that's another question Van Meerbergen asks, is what's changed? And I can't really put my finger on what's changed.
Well, Joni Beckler, for instance, was saying that the change is the public is now demanding this.
Maybe.
But, I mean, people like Stephen Orser flipping completely over 180 degrees. That's quite odd, and saying that he's made mistakes in the past, but now, despite the fact that he was arguing it's going to be $500,000, now he's in favor of it. So go figure.
Anyway, whatever. Orser also brought up an issue of shopping carts. He wanted a bylaw that would I guess, penalize people potentially who took shopping carts away from stores, would penalize stores that didn't retrieve their own shopping carts, sort of make it tougher or less likely for people to leave carts scattered about our fair city. It turns out the city already has a bylaw that covers this off, and which I wish I'd known that when I originally wrote about this issue 2 weeks ago, because that's sort of makes Orser's motion moot. But anyway, a watered down version of what Orser wanted went ahead. Staff's going to look into possibly toughening up that existing bylaw. Some councillors said this is a total waste of time. Your thoughts on that?
Well, in terms of the bylaw that's already on the books, who can be charged under that, Pat?
Well, I don't think there's a fining mechanism. I'm not sure that there's a fining mechanism under that bylaw, but it's about having one on your property. I think it's the yard maintenance bylaw.
Oh, so it's if you are unfortunate enough to be on a high traffic area and somebody leaves a shopping cart on your property, or you're going to be fined.
Something I don't know, but
well, I wonder about people that are using these carts as transportation to get home from the grocery store, if they would be the owner of a property. I mean, quite frankly, these are people who are probably the least likely able to afford a ticket or some sort of penalty for doing this. So I sort of think it should be a cost of doing business myself, and I think that the target should be the stores.
So you don't necessarily think it's a waste of City Hall's time to be addressing this issue or looking into it more closely?
Well, they sure make a mess, and they're all over the place. Yeah, it's perhaps not the city's #1 priority to be dealing with, but quite frankly, I think it's the business responsibility to make sure its carts are not all over the city acting as litter.
I don't see it, but just personally, I don't see it as a big issue.
No, it's not a big issue.
I don't see them around, but a friend of the show, Avery Moore, showed me a picture she took the morning of that debate, a radio reporter, of 3 shopping carts on a street corner that she drove by. Well, so it is an issue in some parts of the city.
In comfortable Oak Ridge, I can see it wouldn't be an issue, but over in the rest of the city here,
well, that's my other point. 4 councillors voted against this, in essence saying, let's not waste time with it. And they were Ward 5 Councillor Joni Beckler, Ward 6 Councillor Nancy Branscombe, Ward 7 Councillor Matt Brown, and Ward 8 Councillor Paul Hubert. All those wards have one thing in common: they're fairly well-to-do.
But for instance, north of the university and northeast and northwest of the university, lots of students, and a lot of students use shopping carts as well. So it's not just people in poorer sections. It's a number of people that are using them in a way they shouldn't be used.
In the sort of like gated community that you live in.
Gated community, my.
Okay, and the other thing that was up this week that I thought was interesting was the mayor sort of, I guess I would use the term, turning up the heat on
an election campaign?
On the bureaucrats who are charged with sort of trying to move forward his plans to kickstart job creation and economic prosperity in the city. I thought that Martin Hayward, who is a very excellent treasurer at City Hall, and Harvey Filger, who's charged with that file, relatively new to City Hall, pushed back a little bit and said, well, I'm not sure I understand saying that nothing's being done, and we're moving sort of as reasonably fast as we can. And I wonder if we're pushing to the point where politically pushing the bureaucrats to move unreasonably fast.
Rabbits have not been pulled out of the hats yet, but the hats have been ordered.
Right, that's a good one. And I think that your thinking is that this is a sign that in 2014 perhaps Joe Fontana may seek re-election. Maybe articulate that for our fine
Just
viewers.
pick up the damn leaves. Wasn't that one of the central points
of his... Just pick up the damn bags, yeah.
The damn bags. Wasn't that one of the things in his first campaign? I think he started the campaign for another term. It appears he wants to get some tangible evidence that he's got some job growth during his first term and use that as part of a campaign for the next.
So by pushing a little harder on the bureaucrats, he can maybe make that happen, or at least appear that he wants to make it happen? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, appear to make it happen. Quite frankly, first of all, there's an inadequate supply of money to fund this wonderful job creation scheme that the city came up with, and the things that are the 5 central things they're looking at now take time to do right. I don't know why you'd want to rush and throw money. Well, there's no money to throw at this point. I don't know why you'd want to rush and potentially make some bad decisions just because, well, we want it now. We're talking mega millions of dollars here. I would hate to see them not do the due diligence and get it wrong.
And I think that's the point that the Filgers and the Haywards were making in that debate.
Am I sounding like a bureaucrat?
No, you sound like a very informed reporter.
Responsible individual?
Responsible journalist.
Thank you.
Anyway, speaking of which, we will join you. No, wait.
Just before we go,
What?
Can I do a shout out to Isabel and Chris Glover, the parents I met of award-winning London Free Press photographer Craig Glover. They are big fans of us, and now I know we have two, at least.
At least two fans. They do like the show.
God bless you, folks.
Craig's parents do watch the show regularly. So, anyway.
And how, by the way, how are we doing against Dale TV? Ratings?
I'm still waiting for the overnights.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope. Well,
so
we've got something back there.
Oh, that's good. So anyway,
Is
thanks
he
for
here?
watching us, and we'll see you next time at lfpress.com.